You're listening to the Nature's Image Farm podcast. I'm your host, Greg Burns, and we're talking bees, homesteading, and the old-time ways. This episode is brought to you by Hive wax-dipped equipment. No paint, no rot, no hassle. Hive, built to endure. Now, on to the show. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat, coming live from all over the place. We've got the one and only Bruce Jenne down from Dothan, Alabama, representing Alabama Beekeepers and the Bruce's Bees YouTube channel. We've got Brian Koper, fellow Ohioan, beekeeper extraordinaire from Castle Hives YouTube channel. I'm Greg Burns here at Nature's Image Farm, and we're so excited that you're joining us tonight for another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. 3.5 years plus into showing up here, fellowshipping, talking bees, having a good time. And it's all thanks to you guys here who have joined us all these years. So from the Stream Team, we just want to say thanks for your continued support, for joining in nearly every single week. You guys make this thing awesome. So thanks for being here. Bruce, Brian, I'm looking forward to a fun conversation tonight. It seems like no matter where you're at in the country, one or all of these things apply to your beekeeping right now. Tonight, we're talking about summertime treating and feeding, and we're going to get into all of your questions. Now, is now the time to treat? Is now the time to feed? Can you do both? What do you have to watch out for? Is it even appropriate to be feeding or treating? We're going to tackle all those questions and more. Tonight, it's all about you guys. We want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. If you've got questions for the Stream Team, please leave them in all capitals. That way we can make sure that we see them and can respond accordingly. You guys are so awesome, and there are so many awesome conversations that happen in the sidebar here that there's no way we can actually see all the comments. But if you put them in all caps, it'll trigger us to be able to get those starred, to be able to get to those questions. We also have a really fun giveaway tonight. We've got a bunch of stuff to give away, so you want to hang on and take your chance at winning some cool stuff here. And so looking forward to that too. First things first, let's go right around the horn for a quick check-in and see how everyone is doing with their beekeeping operations this time of year here at nearly the very end of July. Let's go all the way down. They say the devil went to Georgia, but it's just as hot down in Alabama. Bruce, how are things going as far as beekeeping go down in the Dothan, Alabama area?
I'm taking a break. I'm just kidding.
And
I am kind of taking a break. It is, you said hot, and my wife was just looking on her phone, and it said there's going to be a heat dome settling in over us here over the next few days. And so I am taking a short break. I've got everything done I think I need to do in the bees here for the next couple of weeks, and I've been pretty busy in them. This past weekend I went ahead and I got some more queens from Zach. We got them all out in hives. A lot of it was replacing queens that were either failing or attitude problems, just replacing some queens that were undesirable. Some of it was splits. I did not do a video on it just to let people know. I just had to get it done, and I just didn't need to take the time to try to film it. So hope you're not disappointed in that. I did a similar thing last year. This year I actually made the splits much stronger. I didn't, last year I kind of condensed them way down. I did like 3-frame splits and nukes with a feeder, and some of those just fizzled out. It was too hot, even though I fed them like crazy. This year I pretty much tried to make sure most of the hives are heavy. Most of them have plenty of honey in them. Most of them are they're doing good. Some of them were actually, it's like they're bringing in some nectar. And then I realized the cotton is starting to bloom around here. So maybe they're on a variety of cotton that's going to produce a little bit of nectar here over the next couple of months. That's what saved me in the past, assuming they're on the right type of cotton or the right type of soil and there's plenty of rain or irrigated cotton, it has saved me through July and August without having to feed them a lot in recent years. And so cotton doesn't always work, but I've had pretty good success with it some years down here. So we replaced some queens primarily out in the Midland City Bee Yard is where and up by the cell towers where most of those queens went in. The ones at Midland City, that has been my swarm yard where I just kind of put all my swarms, so like a quarantine yard. It's not all swarms, but that's where I decided to take them all this year. And some of them have done quite well, but some of them have just either petered out or they've just got just plain nasty mean like devil bees. And so took care of that. I got rid of those devil queens, and I mean maybe the queens are devil, I don't know, but the bees they create are devils. And so we got rid of some of those queens, and a couple of them were just fizzling out really weak and not doing well. They may have been older queens, I don't know. But so that's what I did this past weekend. And that was on Friday. On Saturday, we finally got my honey super stacked. If any of you have seen on my social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and even I think I put a post on YouTube as well. Just a picture of the boxes all stacked up. And I've got a new part of the barn. I put them in. My brother's cleaned out a little slot for me along a wall. And it's pretty impressive. They're all stacked in one row. And it's like, it takes up the whole end of the barn. It's pretty cool looking to see all those boxes up there. And so that was, my wife and I did that Saturday. We had a pioneer celebration at church Saturday at July. Kind of it's like a 4th of July / pioneer celebration at church on Saturday morning at 9:30. So it was almost noon before we got started, and it was hot. And so Friday it was super hot in my bee jacket all day long, trying to get those 28 queens placed. Saturday was real hot. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, but it was still really hot. And Saturday night, I was trying to prepare a Sunday school lesson. Now, my eyes have been so burned from the sweat that I couldn't focus and read hardly. So it took me way longer to even read through the lesson than it would have normally because I couldn't hardly even see the words. So it was pretty brutal. So I decided after I got those boxes stacked, I'm taking a couple of weeks off. Treatments are in, new queens are placed, and the boxes are stored. And the hives look pretty good. That most of them have food on them. I tried to make sure if I did splits that both of the hives had plenty of food in them. A couple of them are a little bit weak, but I think they're going to be okay. I made sure they were strong splits. Hope this time of the year they won't get robbed too bad. And overall, I think they're going to do okay. And so that's where we're at. I haven't shot any new footage. My third video from the honey harvest where we kind of moved the boxes and buckets just dropped a couple days ago. I do have a little bit of footage out there I could make videos out of, but I'm just kind of taking a little break right here from the bees and from YouTube here over the next few days probably, but I'm sure we'll be back at it in August, checking everything up.
Well, it sounds like it's stacking up and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you've earned you've earned the time to just sit back and say, it's time for a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I'm not really burned out. I'm just it's just so hot and I'm tired. And I've really tried to do a better job of listening to my body, like taking breaks when I need to, make sure I drink plenty of fluids. And Friday, it was so hot. I was out trying to get those queens. And I started early in the morning when it was fairly cool. And even here where it's so humid, even when it's like 70 or 75 degrees, when you wake up in the morning, it's so muggy. Like you go out there, it doesn't feel that hot, but you just start dripping as soon as you walk outside. And so, you're sweating all day long. And so Friday, normally I just keep going and I try and grab a bite to eat somewhere. And sometimes I skip eating, but Friday I was up in Newton, which is, it's one of my bee yards. And maybe I was in Midland City. I can't remember, but I think it was Newton. And I texted my wife and said, I'm coming home. I'm going to come home and get some lunch and just stay inside for about an hour and get cooled down really good before I go back out. And that paid off because, I just needed to get that little shot in the arm. And it's amazing because it's like right now they call them the dog days of summer, the dog days of August for a reason. It just gets so hot and muggy down here. It's been pretty hot. It hasn't been horrible. It's been like low 90s most of the time, which isn't ridiculous, but you add the humidity in, but that humidity level has upped another notch the last couple of weeks. It's just been so humid. And so I was looking at the relative humidity, I think last Wednesday or Thursday, and it was like 91 or 92 degrees, and the humidity at the airport, relative humidity was like 91 or 92%.
Oh,
so that's just basically, there's like water almost hanging in the air. And that does bring in some rainstorms and stuff. Now you look on the phone and it says the standard humidity, I guess it's a little bit different, is a little bit lower, but the relative humidity at the airport was like 91%. So that just It's just so you just
It's
what you
thick.
do is you sweat. If you don't stay hydrated down here, and I know it gets a little muggy up there too. If you don't stay hydrated, I mean, you just get in trouble because you sweat all the fluids out, and then you're just done. Your body just says, I'm done. So you got to be careful.
Well, hope you stay cool, and you can the bees at this point, are probably well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about what's critical and what's not for you in your neck of the woods as this conversation unfolds. Brian, Northeast Ohio, what's going on up in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's funny. I had no idea what the topic was going to be for tonight. And, we do our text throughout the day. Are we on, like we normally do every week? So I look at, the thumbnail, and I look at the title of the stream, and it says treating and feeding. And my colonies have buckets on them as of Sunday. I tomorrow will do my 4th round of OAV. So I'll do one more after that. That one will be Monday. And then I'm going to give them till probably the following weekend. And then I'll do washes, see how queens are doing, all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's they needed it. Let me just tell you that. When the girls had been a little bit testy with me, I found out how testy they were because as my front jacket zipper broke and it unzipped clear up to my neck.
Oh, that's handy.
Crawling up into the veil, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I looked down and I seen the jacket all flailed out like that, and I'm like, oh, this ain't good. So, I did the old walk away, like, I wasn't gonna do the old jog or run because then they're like, there's a target.
Fresh meat.
Yeah, but they literally, I'm telling you, they were on the syrup. I mean, it was probably 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It was that fast. So, and other people, like, the one guy that I've been mentoring, the guy that got the bees from you, I went out to his place yesterday, and we got some treatments on his colonies, did mite washes and stuff. And I was telling him, I said, get syrup on them. And he said, yeah, but there's flowers out here. And I said,
not enough.
Matter. I said, it's just, I said, it might just be enough for them to maintain, but not grow. And I said, you want them at this point of the year to continue to move forward, not stall out. Right. So, but that's where the colonies are. I think overall, I'm content with how they look. A lot more content than what I was last year at this time. Last year, I had so many queen issues. Just, it was one after another after another. I haven't really had that this year. Things have been a lot smoother. The colonies are looking pretty darn good, actually. Even the little splits that I did with the couple queens that I got off of you the last time I was down. I mean, I'm going to have to decide. They're in a double nuke, and they're working the second box in the top, those second 4 frames. So it'll get to a point that, well, do I leave them there, or what do I do?
Or do you move them over to a single?
Yeah. So, but no, it's looking good. I mean, I'm content with how the yard looks. I think, and I told you this yesterday or whenever the heck I spoke to you on the phone. I think it might have been, I don't know. Was it 2 days ago? I don't know when it was. But,
some day ago.
I think with the 18 colonies that I have over there now, I think that's just going to be it for the year. I don't want to, how they look, I don't want to pull splits and end up pulling resources out of those colonies with how they look. I would rather set myself up right now. That way next year, if things look good, then I have more wiggle room. If I break them down now, it's like, well, then I'm a little bit more worried about them because then you got to build them back up again. and I just don't want to do that. So I just figure right now it's best for me just to kind of simmer my horses and just keep the ones that I have moving in the positive direction where they're going. And that in itself will set myself up in a better position for next year. So
sounds like you're turning a mental corner where you're not chasing numbers, you're chasing quality of colonies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the name of the game right now, because if you are too eager or too greedy with the resources and you make some moves and the weather goes a certain way, you're left with a certain result. And that's we've all been there, done that.
Yeah.
So cool. Wow, the weather is real similar here. It was hot, and then it was rain, and then it's taken a while for things to kind of kick back. We hit a dearth there, and robbing had started, and the rain kept going, and then the rain stopped, and we've had a couple real warm days. Real warm down here for us, Bruce, is like, maybe 91, 92 with 60 to 70% humidity. That's still pretty warm. And but then the clover starts to kick in, and the chicory starts to kick in, and all these plants start to kick in, and the robbing areas are now quieted down, and so the bees are out, they're occupied, they're busy doing those things. I was couple things I want to share with you guys. I was blessed with just God's good and has brought so many just incredible opportunities this way, things that I would have never have thought to get involved with, or like reach out to try to do. But this week, the end of last week, I got to spend some time doing something that I never would have imagined. And boy, it really helped. It opened up a part of my heart and of my mind that had never really been touched before. But I got an invitation to go to prison, and what an incredible opportunity it was to go visit with some prison inmates, specifically beekeepers that are in prison. And what it blessed me in so many ways. Now is not the time to try to unpack everything on my heart and my mind, but any one of us can make one bad decision. Any one of us can make one bad call, and any one of us can have one bad moment or day that can ultimately affect the trajectory of our entire life as we know it. And so for me to spend time with a group of life sentenced inmates who their only opportunity to know what the outside world is like is if they leave there in an ambulance, or if they try to imagine what those bees are seeing when they fly past the prison walls and go work and forage and come back. Here they are working these bees, and these bees are just freely going to and fro. I'm working at a lot of these thoughts right now, and I don't know their circumstance, and that's not for me to know. God knows all about that. But to be able to share our testimony and our passion for beekeeping was just an incredible blessing for us, for me, and to just be a lighthouse to somebody in some way is what I feel like we are called to do, no matter the circumstance, no matter what walls that we put up mentally, physically, spiritually, or physical walls that we will never escape or pass through again. There's a lot more I want to say about all that, but just a shout out. I don't know that they've got access to YouTube, but it was absolutely an honor for me to be able to spend some time with the Noble Corrections beekeepers. So that was all more on that later. When I left there, goldenrod had bloomed that morning. And so we're down in Noble County, Ohio, is where this prison is. And goldenrod is blooming that morning. As I'm driving down in there, I see it, goldenrod blooming. And that is just, it blows my mind, because I don't think I've never seen the early goldenrod bloom this early. What does that mean for the rest of the year? I'm a little afraid to speculate. But if history repeats itself, over the last 5 years, we're in about a 4 to 6 week time period from when we first start to see the first goldenrod before it's all done. And so if we go on the long side of that, 6 weeks is going to put us into the second week of September, first week of September, and it could be lights out. If it's only 4 weeks, we could be at the very end of August and lights out. So either we have winter coming early, or we are going to have a prolonged fall. And I'm afraid it's going to be a prolonged fall, because that is the worst possible scenario, where these bees are stretched out clear until December as far as flight days, but not have any kind of food resources out there. And it's something important to think about, not fear mongering, but it's something very important to think about. What is your treatment and feed strategy right now? Because if we are in a prolonged fall where we have temperatures that are 55 to 65 degrees all the way until December, we've got to think about what does the word food and feed and nutrition actually look like. So we're going to talk a lot more about that tonight. We've got a lot of giveaways tonight as well. And DC's Bees is saying, Greg, the Farmer's Almanac is saying a long summer fall. That's less than ideal. But we're going to talk about it tonight. And hopefully some of the things that we talk about will set some folks up for success, at least mentally now, to where they can start to make some of those decisions then. Tonight, we've got a lot of giveaways. We're going to let the cat right out of the bag, because not only is there giveaways, I've got a special discount code for you guys. We have got a new and improved bucket feeder, and you guys are going to see it here first. It's pretty cool. It's something we've been working on for a long time, and I think you're going to love it as much as we do. But here it is. We've got the brand new bucket feeders that are even thicker than ever before, the thickest one out there. They're going to last a lot longer, which is a big deal. We have some cool graphics on them too. Have a QR code where you can go right to that QR code. Takes you right to our website, where we've got tips and tricks on using these buckets. We will continue to update that and also add videos to it. But this is a very nice feeding bucket that I think you'll really love. Be very helpful for you to keep your bees fed, and just kind of like as an introductory way of saying, thanks for being here on the stream team. If you use discount code STREAMTEAM10, all one word, you get these rascals for $10 on our website. You can't beat it. Bucket feeders for $10 directly for our stream team audience. Discount code STREAMTEAM10 at checkout at naturesimagefarm.com. Hope you guys love them as much as we do. Got a lot of great giveaways tonight, including some bucket feeders, some feed, some hive tools. Who knows what else we'll throw into the mix there too. But just a little way that we can say thank you for all of your support. All right, guys. One last announcement. I always try to take time, and every year we do this. We always make sure that we're shining light on the guys that are up and coming. And I had a wonderful visit by a fellow beekeeper, Mark Cottrell, from the Struggling Beekeepers YouTube channel. I don't know if Brian can post a link here, but Mr. Mark stopped out and shot a couple videos with us on how to fix laying workers, how to overwinter small colonies. Had a great time with Mark, and so I want to help get his YouTube channel some more recognition. He's got a growing YouTube channel. If you guys could, please, let's help out those up and comings. If you can go to his YouTube channel, check out those videos, drop a comment, Say, hey, you heard Greg talk about it from the stream team. Hit the like button, show him some love, let him know you guys care, that what he does matters. We would really appreciate that. Brian will drop some links in here. I'll drop a link in the description too. But the struggling beekeeper, Mark Cottrell, that'll be awesome. So was a fun thing kind of going on. All right, let's get into it. Tonight we're talking about treating and feeding. Right now Brian and I are in Ohio. Bruce is down in Alabama. Temperatures are different. Honey situation is a little bit different. But let's just go right to it. Let's say that folks are right at the point of pulling honey, or they've already pulled their honey, and now they're looking at treating and possibly feeding. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We already have some questions. So for now, let's let the questions steer tonight's conversation, and then we'll fill in the gaps with Gab as needed. All right, first question here from Bees in the Abyss. Kevin, question is, when feeding 1-to-1, can I put Hive Alive, Apis Biologics, and Honey Bee Healthy all in together? Or should they be added in different buckets? Let us know here in the comments what you guys would do. Let's go around the horn here. Bruce, would you just put in a smorgasbord of honeybee supplements in the feed all at one time? How would you go about that?
I would not, because I feel like they all have their own. Some of them have duplicatable, ingredients, and so you might be overdoing it on some of the ingredients. And I don't know that there would be any reaction, but is there a possibility there might be some reactions between some of the things in the different formulas? I don't know. I think it's wise probably just to stick to one thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about Apis Biologics. I'm not sure if it's a similar type product, but I do know Honey Bee Healthy and Hive Alive are, basically a lot of some essential oils, some different things in there, and I for sure wouldn't use those two together. And I don't know about Apis Biologics. I don't know enough about it to be educated enough to say if it's a similar type thing or if it's got completely different things. I don't know, but I personally would stay away from adding several things together, making a cocktail on a concoction of a lot of different things. It's kind of like one thing that may happen, like when you take, if a human takes vitamins, and you take 4 different brands of multivitamin, is that going to hurt you? Probably not, but who knows? But why would you do that? They're all probably a little bit different, but I personally would not do that.
Brian, what about you? Mix them all together? Don't mix them at all, or keep them separate?
So I wouldn't. Now, I know Hive Alive, I know what that is as far as the supplement. I use it. The Apis, I've never used it myself, so I can't comment. I do know that Apis, more or less from the components of it, it makes the syrup very close to what nectar is naturally. What the exact compounds are, like what Bruce was saying, I don't know. Honey Bee Healthy, I've heard, is very similar to Hive Alive, other than like Hive Alive has the seaweed extracts and things like that in it, so you get those other beneficial properties. I wouldn't mix those.
Yeah.
I literally, I thought of the same exact the same I had the same thought in my head, Bruce. I thought that'd be like taking a Flintstone multivite, taking a Centrum Silver, taking, you're throwing all of these same vitamins, what's in them. And the question would be, though, why?
Yeah, I think they smell totally different. Hive Alive has a strong smell of thymol, which I don't know that Honey Bee Healthy has that in it. And the bees don't seem to be as robby with the the Hive Alive. Honey Bee Healthy just smells really good. It smells like, it smells really good. And so the bees, they'll get on that stuff quick. You got to be careful with that stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do believe, I just definitely wouldn't mix them personally.
Is Honey Bee Healthy, does it have a heavy lemongrass
Oh
It's got
man,
like it smells like a minty. Yeah, it may.
very
It smells like
strong.
a minty thing to me. Yeah, it smells really good. And I don't know if it's actually the lemongrass. I'm sure some lemongrass to it, but whatever it is, it smells really good. And I used to get a product from Blythewood Bee Company. I think it's called the Beekeeper's Choice or something like that. And it was very, very similar to Honeybee Healthy. I never got Honeybee Healthy, but I think it's a similar product and really good stuff as far as like the
Mm.
bees like it, but I don't know supplement wise if it's I don't I don't know. I just kind of I like the honey. I like the Hive Alive because I know the thymol helps preserve the sugar syrup
Yeah.
a little bit, and I think it's really good for the bees. Just from what Greg and you guys, what you'd say, and the bees, it's worked out well for me. But
I need to order another bottle of Hive Alive because Sunday when I was over there, I used the last of it, mixing up the last 5-gallon bucket of syrup.
yeah, Charlie has a great comment there. He says it's what you're trying to get your bees to do when adding these products. I'm not educated enough in all of them to really speak intelligently on them all and the differences between them. Greg, you might know the
I think it's
chemistry of them
like the
better than any of
'90s.
us.
I think it's like the '90s song from Offspring. You got to keep them separated. You can't. I don't think you ought to put those three together. You got to know
Yeah.
what those three kind of are tuned for. Apis Biologics. The marketing on that it more mimics the natural profiles within nectar itself, as far as nutrients and enzymes and amino acids and such. I'm not sure if there's a lot of research and study on that. That's how it's marketed. Honeybee Healthy is marketed as a feeding stimulant, and also
Sure.
for increased brood production. And Hive Alive is marketed for gut health, gut digestion. So all three are, I think, in my mind, completely different. And the reason I would not mix all three of them is one simple word, and that is just called synergies. You really don't know what you're going to get when you start mixing all these things together and then give it to the bees. It's not like it's this one big horse pill of a multivitamin and there's a little of this and a little of that. You're doubling up on some components, I think, in there, and then some might not even play well. I don't know that to be true, but my mind goes to like, what is the goal of using the feed supplement? Like, why are we actually using that? For most folks, they're using Honeybee Healthy because somebody at the bee club said to use Honeybee Healthy, and there was a bulk buy on Honeybee Healthy. What we had found in our trials years ago is that we actually didn't see a difference at all with Honeybee Healthy, except for increased robbing. And that was a major problem, especially right now. And Honeybee Healthy has a very, very strong lemongrass mint aroma to it. It smells amazing. I mean, you just want
Smells
to
so
wallow
good.
in it, right? You want to beard oil or chewing gum or candy. It smells really good, but because it is so aromatic, it causes ferocious robbing. Especially right now, I would not be putting that on any colonies at all. Summertime, fall, and late fall, especially now for the rest of the year, I would personally, I wouldn't be touching that stuff. Um, because of how aromatic it is, number one. Number two, there's no studies that show it's actually helpful or beneficial. So if I'm going to use something, I want to use something that has some kind of a track record, has some kind of research, or folks can say, hey, here's exactly why and how that this work. I will say with Honeybee Healthy, if it has some of the mint family oils, those do help, I think, with the bee gut biome, but I don't think it comes close to doing the kind of work that Hive Alive does, where it is specifically targeting those areas of the gut. On top of that, you're getting things like the Osha Shield, which is the blend of seaweed nutrients and thymol, which there is a lot of research and info out there on the benefits of that for honeybees. It has such very little lemongrass in it. I've never experienced personally robbing because of the Hive Alive. You put just regular syrup out at the wrong time, you're going to get robbing. Okay, but I've never had the Hive Alive itself contribute to robbing. And for us, we can use the Hive Alive spring, summer, fall. Matter of fact, and the Hive Alive gets used in the wintertime, and fondant, of course. So that I think is, to me, makes more sense than just trying to stimulate brood or stimulate feeding. I mean, I've never needed to help stimulate the bees to take syrup when they needed it. I haven't personally seen that need. If they need it and we put it on it, they take it. The other product, the Apis Biologics, the only thing that I would say to that is you got to better understand really the target time frame when something like that is used, and if that actually makes sense for you and where you're at. For me, it doesn't. For me, the things that I'm targeting is continual gut health and gut nutrition, so that all of the food that they're processing, whether it be pollen patties or natural pollen and proteins or the nectar and carbohydrates, that they're processing and keeping their gut biome clean. For me, and my goals for our apiary, I like the Hive Alive. But to be fair, we are a very small operation. We keep things under about 400 colonies. If we were any bigger than that, it gets very expensive to start making these kind of moves on that number of colonies. And you really have to say, okay, at what point am I not getting a return on the investment? We're seeing the return at our number of colonies. But I would say if you're interested in using either 3 of those, find somebody in your local area that has done an A/B comparison, who has no skin in the game, who can give you some honest feedback and kind of go from there. I would look for some actual research or some papers on it too, to better understand what those things actually do. But I would be mindful of staying away from aromatics in your feed this time of year.
Greg, have you ever heard of Amino B?
I have.
Down here, this is something that I used some in the past. It's a product. It's by the same people that make the Honey Bee Healthy. And my concern was down here with the hive beetles, with the protein, with the pollen patties. It's really difficult to feed pollen patties down here now. I know there's some new products out that may not be quite as mite beetle attractive as regular pollen patties are. So for years, I actually used, here's the Beekeeper's Choice. I haven't used this since I started using Hive Alive, but this comes from Blythewood. Hard to get this thing. Beekeeper's Choice, and it's very, very similar actually to Honey Bee Healthy. So what I used to do, this is, I think, a teaspoon per quart. It smells so good. But I would use a teaspoon of each of these, and the Beekeeper's Choice / Honey Bee Healthy supposedly helps preserve the syrup. And then, but this Amino B, if you don't use a preservative of some kind, you might be able to use it with Hive Alive. It's just basically a protein source you can put in your fluid, in your syrup, but it will actually ferment. It'll go bad pretty quickly if you don't add like either Honey Bee Healthy or Beekeeper's Choice to it or something like that. I'm not sure how we do the Hive Alive, but I use that for years with really good success. I will say you don't just want to use this with syrup unless the bees gobble it right up. Because it will go bad fairly quickly. But man, it seemed to really help. The bees really did fine on it. They did great, and they would suck it right down as long as I use this Beekeeper's Choice with it. But these have been in my cabinet. I had to make sure they were still in there. I haven't used them probably in 2 or 3 years because that's when I started using Hive Alive. So,
well, you brought up something that I kind of glazed over there, because we feed our feed straight. It's a 3-to-1. We don't thin it down. But for folks who are thinning their feed down to a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1, or they're just mixing up, maybe they're not thinning down, they're just mixing up a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1. This time of year, it's great if you put it on and the bees don't take it. However, when it gets hot like this, feed goes bad. Where Hive Alive, I think, shines better than all 3 of those is as a feed extender. The thymol and the other things that they've got inside of there helps to keep that lasting a very long time and prevents it from spoiling. So I think just as a cheap insurance policy, adding some of Hive Alive to your feed this time of year is going to help keep it from going rank and get going bad. So great question. Tonight we're talking about feeding and treating in the summertime. If you've got questions, don't be shy. Leave them in all caps, and we'll try to get to all your questions tonight. Brian, I want to thank you for the $20 super chats. Buckets for everyone. You get a bucket. You get a bucket. You get a bucket. the next drawing here for the giveaway is going to be one of the Nature's Image Farm bucket feeders. You just can't beat them. We're going to give one of those away here. We'll figure out what that code will be here shortly. So, but Brian, thank you for your $20 super chat. Hashtag buckets for everyone. Hashtag stream team. Hashtag fellowship. Hashtag. I like that, Brian. That's a good one. Let's go ahead and get a giveaway going. We've got a bunch of buckets we're willing to give away tonight and some other fun stuff too. Let's go ahead and get the first bucket feeder going. Now, Brian, if we've got several bucket feeders to give away tonight, can we use the same hashtag over and over again? Or will it just constantly be pulling from all of the comments?
No, you could do spin again. It removes the person and then you just do spin again.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it. Hashtag bucket feeder. Your chance to win a bucket feeder. All right. What you'll do is if you're the lucky winner, we'll have you go to our website at naturesimagefarm.com, go to the About Us and hit the Contact tab. Shoot us a message that you were the winner, and we will get that shipped right out to you. So tonight's first giveaway tonight is going to be hashtag bucket feeder. I could go on and on tonight about those. If you know us and you know our channel, you know that we brought the 1 gallon bucket feeders to the market, to YouTube many years ago. And they've really made a difference in beekeepers all across, not just the US, but really globally. So I think bucket feeders are important. There are no silver bullets when it comes to feeding, but bucket feeders are one of the greatest force multipliers in your bee yard for adding an entire gallon of feed on quickly, efficiently, especially this time of year. If you need to just get it on there and you don't want to have a gallon of open feed inside of a hive heater, a hive feeder, a frame feeder, if you've got issues with hive beetles, or if you're requeening or making splits, my number one go-to way of using these bucket feeders is to get that gallon of feed on out ahead of requeening, and you would be amazed how your queen takes go through the roof once those hives are actually fed up, happy, and healthy. So for your chance tonight to win the bucket feeder, hashtag bucket feeder. And Brian, while folks are doing that, let's play this this quick clip here. When we get back, we'll have our drawing. Here we go. All right, those comments are coming in, and I just want to give a shout out to all of our folks who are tuning in every week. We try to do a lot of fun stuff with you guys, giveaways, fun conversation, and fellowships. You never know what we're going to get into as far as conversations, giveaways, or fellowship here, but we want to thank you for being here with us tonight. Brian, let's go ahead and spin that wheel on the first bucket feeder giveaway.
There we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
Mr. Billy Miller, Tar Heel beekeeper. Another Tar Heel beekeeper. That's awesome. Come on down. Billy, if you would, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com. Go to the Contact Us tab. Shoot us an email with your information, and we will get a bucket feeder shipped out. Folks, we got a couple more of those to give away, but don't worry. If you don't win, we still want you to take advantage of the bucket feeders. We have a discount code, StreamTeam10. Go to our website at naturesimagefarm.com. Use StreamTeam10 in the discount code, and you can get one of these bucket feeders, $10. You can't beat it. All right, cool. All right, let's get to the next question. Mr. Sam Mixon. Sam calls in the shop here, and the girls have sent him out some product. So, Sam, we appreciate your support. That really does mean a lot. Mr. Sam has a question here. He says, I'm only feeding one of my hives. And is it too late to do a split with one hive of bees? Oof. We're going to cut right to the quick with that one, I think, because maybe not. Bruce, I think Mr. Sam is a southern beekeeper. What are your thoughts, Bruce? If he's feeding the hive right now, is now a good time to be splitting it if he only has one hive of bees?
Man, I think it's a tough time of year to do splits. I think it is possible to do. I just did some splits this past weekend, but it's so important you have, in my opinion, that you make fairly strong splits with plenty of bees. Make sure each hive has the resources it needs. And so I think it's possible, but I do think it's more risky this time of year, personally.
Yeah, Brian, what do you think? Mr. Sam's feeding his hive. Is it too late to split it if it's just one hive of bees? Brian is currently feeding the beekeeper. What are those, Brian?
Looks like a vitamin.
Are
those Easter egg things?
Jordan almonds.
Oh.
So
Jordan almonds.
Tara knows
Country Jordan.
Like these things. Look at the bag that I got.
Those look like Whopper Easter eggs.
They're candied almonds.
Oh my gosh, candied almonds.
They're delicious. I keep them in here, and then yeah, okay. I got to get them off my head because I keep reaching down in the drawer grabbing them.
So you never know what we're going to get into tonight. Candied almonds, brought to you by the Honeybeast. Thank you.
You know, it all. I don't know his area. I would first look at what's the goal. You know, do you need another colony right now? Like me, as far as my year, I'm not going to split anymore just because I want my colonies to be strong going into the fall. So could I split them? Yeah. Would some of them possibly fail? Probably. So I don't want to roll the dice at this point. So, but again, like I said, you know, I don't know exactly where Sam's at. I don't know if he's got access to mated queens, all that type of stuff. So, you know, and then like with one colony, well, how big is it? Is it, you know, if it was your lighthouse hive from last year that was 9 boxes high, could you afford to take a box off of it? Yeah. You know, so there's so many variables there, but like where I'm at right now, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I'm with you, Sam, and I'm the guy that would sell you more equipment for your split, and I'm even the one that would say I probably wouldn't. But it's kind of like we need more information to be able to make that call. Like Brian said, if you're already in if you're in double deeps right now, or you're in triple deeps, or you're in double deeps with 2 supers, then I would say I think you're good. I think you're golden to go ahead and make the split. But if you just got 1 box of bees, or they're already brooding down, or they're not already as healthy as you want them to be, or the queen seems like I don't know what's going on, you know, all these things play into what you're doing. I can tell you what I'm doing up in Ohio, and I've got an even tighter window of time than what you would, Mr. Sam, and that is if I'm in double deeps, if I'm in double deeps with multiple supers, anything bigger than if I've got 2 full boxes of bees and then some, I am right now pulling the last round of splits, bringing everything into 1 full 10-frame single split. And I'm not going any smaller than that right now because I don't need to be chasing numbers. I don't need to have liabilities. I need to have assets. And these colonies, if we keep them big enough to cruise through the whatever impending weather is coming, and if it goes south, we can put some feed on and they'll still kind of get built up and for winter. I want to reduce my liabilities right now. I still need to grow. I still have some numbers I've got to reach, but I'm going to reduce the liabilities in doing so. So if I don't have to, I'm not going to split a single. I'm not going to split a story and a half right now. And I'm not going to split a colony just because it's in 2 boxes. I'm going to be splitting colonies that are in 2 boxes that need a super. Those I'm going to break down and splitting accordingly. So you mentioned you were feeding your hive. I'm assuming if you say you only have 1 hive and you are feeding it, I would say don't feed that rascal, or don't split that rascal now. Build it up. Make sure it's healthy. Do everything you can to make sure it goes through the wintertime. Split that rascal in the spring where it can really be a tremendous asset and have the entire year to grow up and have a much bigger return on that investment.
He says he has 4 hives. I guess he's just
He has
feeding
4
one now.
hives. If Mr. Sam, if the one in question is in double deeps or bigger, I would feel comfortable in Ohio doing that. I would say Bruce would say the same thing. If you're in double deeps right now and you're in the South,
Strong double deeps, lots of bees. Not if it's wimpy. If there's no bees in the top box, I would say probably no.
Yeah, I think
I just
if you
think
had 16 frames of bees or so, I think you're probably golden.
Yeah.
Good question though, because we're all in one shape, form or another. We're all facing that. Do we split? Do we hold them back? We have to keep in mind that these bees are going to start brooding back here before too much longer. They're already in the post-solstice dance where they're slowly coming down anyways. At some point, it's going to be significant. So great question.
Man, I did so many different things this past weekend. I did, like I say, I found queens that were weak or were mean bees, and I replaced the queens. In some of those, I actually did that were super strong. I if they were just a mean queen that I wanted to replace, I pulled a split. I think in some of them, I put 2 queens in because I found the queen and dispatched of her. And so I did some where I couldn't find the queen, so I just I put the queen excluder over the top, made sure it was brood up top, and let them work their way back up. And then I actually, since I kept them in the same yard, I moved the bottom box that had most of the brood and the old queen in it to a new spot, and then I dropped the top box down so those foragers would come back and strengthen that colony.
Yeah.
Then I just straight up, I found the queen and just made splits. And put the stronger of the 2 boxes off whether the queen was in it or not. I can't remember. I just did all kinds of stuff. I was just trying to find a place for 28 queens, but I think I made some really good headway. And I think this year the splits will be a lot better. I just think it's the later you get in the season, like especially this time, July, August, it's just tougher. It's tougher to have success with splits this time of the year, regardless of splits you do. And so if you're kind of new at it, you can do it, but it's just a little more risky. You have to kind of know what you're doing. And I think if you follow those principles of having plenty of bees, and plenty of resources in both colonies, and if you it's a good idea to feed them. And if you're doing that, then you probably could do it. But if you don't try it, you don't learn. So if you're willing to give it a shot, if you're willing to risk it, and it may just work out great for you. I do anticipate some of these may not work out, especially this time of year. It's pretty brutal down here, but most of them I think will, and will be in good shape. But you just gotta, if you don't try it, if you snooze, you lose, as they say. If you don't try things, you can't learn. But sometimes learning can be difficult as well.
I'd say if you have to ask the question, it would be worth the tuition to figure out how it plays out. I don't have to ask myself the question because I've been too greedy when it comes to that, and I've paid a lot of tuition at the School of Hard Knocks for that lesson. But if you have to ask yourself the question, then maybe go ahead and do it, because you'll learn. Honeybee compound here, I mean, it's very well put. If you don't risk it, you can't get the biscuit. You never know. You got to know what you can get. I know what I can get by with here and what I can't. And I know that I only want to get maybe up to 20 or 30% in this margin on what I can't get away with. So I think if you're going to do it, Mr. Dean Gettle, shout out to Dean. I saw Dean this year. He came out to the farm, bought some equipment. So Dean, we appreciate you. He made 10 splits 5 days ago. But look at the formula here. Added mated queens, plenty of bees, feed, pollen, and drawn comb needed. That is the recipe for success this late in the year, with an emphasis on feed. What I like to do is get these colonies fed ahead of the split and ahead of that queen introduction. And I'm telling you, what you can get by with late in the year, because you've got them fed up prior, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Great question. All right, let's see.
I was going to say too, I mean, if you can afford to do it, do it. If it fails, well, then you've learned something.
Yeah, you know? And I'm kind of subscribed. I've subscribed to there isn't failure, there is just tuition. You know, if I can pay less tuition in the future on something, then great. But what's great here's something to think about. Where's Tom Sosman at if he's listening? This would turn into a short story long, so we won't do that. But think of collectively between Bruce, Brian, and myself, all of the tuition that we have paid at the School of Hard Knocks at Beekeeping University. Okay. That's, I think, why the Stream Team chat has been so successful for so long. We have paid a lot of tuition, and we aren't shy about sharing that. We don't pretend to be. Look, you get some of these, you get jokers on these kind of things. It doesn't matter the industry, whether it's beekeeping or you name it. You get these clowns on here who pretend that they've got all the answers for everybody's problems, and they've never had a problem in their life. Everything that they do always just goes perfectly. They're liars, and those are the first folks that I wouldn't take a lick of advice from. If somebody can't admit that it always doesn't go right, and that things go wrong, and they learn from that, if somebody can't say that, I wouldn't spend 2 seconds listening to any kind of advice unless it's entertainment. And that's pretty entertaining to see somebody who has never made a mistake or has paid any tuition when it comes to Hard Knocks there. We got a question here from Mr. Matthew Wood. Has anyone in here used Strong Microbials bee bites? Any thoughts on that? Brian? You got any thoughts on that?
Yep. I like Strong Microbials. I do. But it's a different product if you're looking at the ones that we discuss. Like if you're looking at Hive Alive, if you're looking at Apis, and you're looking at Honeybee Healthy, it's a different product. So it has a different purpose. It has the gut health. You've got like the probiotics, all that type of stuff. It's got what the I don't know the exact cultures.
Where's John Turp? Only John Turpin can say all the names right anyways.
Is it lactobacillus? And like I forget the exact cultures, but it's like giving your bees a probiotic. So they're going out there and they're getting into all of the junk, and their guts get kind of destroyed a little bit. So you're helping them out. You're giving them those beneficial cultures, so to say, but they devour it. Like I had they look like little candy bars. You know, they're in the green wrapper. I had those last year, and the bees literally devoured it. I mean, it would be gone in days. I got like the big brick block of it. They just sent it in a box, and I forget how much it weighed, but I literally went over and just went down into the slab with the old Hive tool, smashed it, and slapped that bugger on there. And I guarantee 5 days or so, that stuff will be gone. So it's good stuff.
Bruce, you've had any experience with Strong Microbials bee bites?
I've used the Strong Microbials off and on. I have not used the bee bites. I have some, but down here, once again, we just have pollen resources coming most of the year. So I just don't use a lot of pollen patties or pollen resources. You combine the hive beetle issues with the all that. And next year I may try to put them in there some. Now, according to John, one of the theories that he has, or what he's hoping to see, is that the hive beetles don't get into bee bites as much as they do the standard pollen patties. And I was going to try them out this year, but I just never, like, the bees just exploded so fast and they're bringing pollen in. And you saw my bees the first day of February, Greg. I mean, they were already exploding. And so didn't really use any pollen resources. I did feed Hive Alive fondant, which I will do again this year. It is a little pricey, but man, it just kept them healthy all through the winter. And I didn't have to worry about feeding them a lot of liquid feed in the wintertime that way. And so it worked out good. But I have not, honestly, I've not used the bee bites. I've used the powder. I've used the, I use the, what is the P801? Is that what it's called? The,
801. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I use. So I don't have any feedback on that. I do have some of the bee bites, not enough to do all my colonies. I've got some of the individual packets. I also have some of the bricks. What are they, 10-pound bricks? I've got one of those, and then there was a new product at the Bee Expo. I think I purchased one of those. It's sitting out in the garage over there. I just haven't ever had to use it. So I have, like, I think 20 pounds worth of the bee bites in the brick form, and plus the individual ones they sent me, and I just haven't used them yet.
Well, I'm a big fan of John Turpin. He's a smart dude. And I have seen personal success with the strong microbials, the DFM, and also the 801. So I believe in what they do there. For me, it's a timing thing, when or when not to use bee bites. For me, it's kind of gets into the Apis Biologics versus Hive Alive versus Honeybee Healthy. You know, which is the most appropriate format for you and your goals in that time frame. And it seems like as we transition and go into fall and then going into winter time, our current plan has been, right now we're feeding our 3-to-1 that has Hive Alive in it, and then we go to do some feeding of protein, some pollen patties, and then we transition into fondant much later in the year. That's been the protocol, and that is working. So it's like, I have used the bee bites, but I don't know that I have found, like, the most appropriate time to use the bee bites. And that's just something where I have to just carve out enough trial colonies, 50 colonies here, 50 here, do this one way, before I would commit to using a different product. I'm not saying the bee bites work or they don't work. I'm just saying, for me to make that assessment, I actually want to see it, and to do that and to carve out a big enough of a control group to do it. What I'm doing so far seems to be working. So it's hard to want to, like, stop doing that to see how something else would work. But anyways, like I said, they have a great product. John's a super good dude, knows a lot. He's he has got to be the smartest guy that I've ever met when it comes to all these fancy names, and how, he's an expert in bee poop and bee guts and how all those things work together. So, John, congratulations. You are King Turd on Bee Poop Mountain for sure. Hands down. That's a compliment, John, just so you know.
I just looked it up, and the bee bites, they've got, it's spirulina.
Yeah.
So they have the algae, but then there's a couple different bacillus strains, and it says there's 12.5 billion colony forming units, whatever that is. But yeah, and they've got lipids, vitamins, enhances nutrition, immunity, and vitality.
All right. Well, there you go. You heard it here first.
There it is.
Mr. Clay Bunner, what a super good dude. Him and his wife both had the honor of meeting them at, we were over in the St. Louis area. The Tom Sosman, gosh, my brain's fried. We were there, Missouri conference that they put on, and saw Clay and his wife and a bunch of great folks there. So shout out to Mr. Clay Bunner. Awesome guy, a great lighthouse himself. So thank you for that super chat, Mr. Bunner. Really do appreciate that. Mr. Dwayne Bittinger comment, Greg, thanks for the Nature's Image Farm special edition Queen Dials. We had a bunch of folks send us emails when we said, hey, shoot us an email about the giveaway and we'll send you something. We had a bunch of folks respond to that. And so we just felt like the Oprah of beekeeping. I'm not even sure if I want to say that anymore. But you know, the idea is you get a hive, you get, you know, that thing. Let's leave the name out. We were that thing. We were the giveaway. Yeah. Anyways. So Mr. Bittinger, you are certainly welcome. Thank you for all of your support. We see you here in the comments all the time. So there's a little way that we could say thanks for that. Let's go ahead. Speaking of giveaways, Brian, let's go ahead and do that. We've got a bunch of stuff to give away. We're talking more than we're giving away. Let's go ahead and ramp up the next giveaway. We were just talking about this kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and do it.
Is it another bucket feeder?
It's not a bucket feeder, but we've got more of those to come. We're going to let's get a hive tool. Now, I don't know that you want my personal hive tool, but you can see how well loved this thing is. It's a hive tool. It's a Hive Alive hive tool. And it is my favorite, hands down, my favorite hive tool. It just lives right here. When I'm out in the yard working, it lives here. It's never out of my hand. If it's out of my hand, it's temporarily in my back pocket, but it just lives here doing all the things. And I really like it. It is super, super thick. It's the thickest hive tool I've ever had. I can't bend it or break it. And I do like the shape of the J-hook. It's actually a little different shape of a J-hook than on some standard hive tools. And it's got these nice little serrations here, not sharp serrations, but these little ridges. And this thing really bites and does well. I'll just give you just a word of caution though. If you are using a J-hook hive tool, do yourself a favor, use this end first to crack the frames open loose before you insert the hook to pull up. If you just go right to the frame, Bruce is shaking his head, he knows. If you just go right in and try to go boom, there is so much leverage here. You will rip the top bar of the staple and glue out of the top box, and all the frames below are going to be crying.
Or you can or you can split the wood, right? And if the frame holds, it may split the wood if it's really glued down. But
yeah, leverage is awesome.
I love my Hive Alive hive tool. It's what I've used. I've got like 5 hive tools in my truck out there, and if I happen to play, I use different ones sometimes if I just pick them up. But that one's the one I always go to first, and it's well used. Mine's even looking almost more used than yours, Greg. But I do love the toughness and the strength of the hive tool, but I really love the bright colors. You can see it so much easier. If you drop it in the grass or just leave it sitting somewhere, you can find it a lot faster than trying to go through and find just the regular standard silver ones that aren't painted. The bright colors really help with that.
They're great. So you let me know if you're the winner. If you want, like Bruce said, he's got a bunch of these. I've got a bunch of these too. What I will say is I just noticed it on this one. This one is actually the Learning Yard one, and I just grabbed it not too long ago to take out there. What I do on mine, and Keith brought it up, one thing I learned a long time ago is on every hive tool, I always round these edges off on a brick or sandpaper, anything, concrete. Round off these sharp corners here, and then also here. All right.
Never done that.
If you don't do that, and you are like me, like my hive tool lives here, and when it's not in my hand, it's in the same back pocket all the time, to the point where I got to be careful which pants I wear out in public, because if I tuck my shirt in and I'm wearing one of my bee pants, it looks like I just had an accident all over the backside of my pants because they're stained with propolis and everything else. The reason I say that is maybe I'll do a video on like some of the things that we think are very basic and common, but may not be for other folks. When this hive tool goes in your back pocket, it goes in like this for me, but make sure that this part is facing towards your rump and not this way. Because if this is your rump and you put it here and you sit down in your truck seat, these make really good leather puncturing devices. That is ask me how I know. So that goes in towards the rump. So if you do sit down with it on accident, it's the smooth part that's hitting on a truck seat. Or good thing the warden's not here. I mean, I shouldn't say the boss.
The
Good thing Susan's not here.
Wow.
Because I have also been known, and I have done this, putting my Hive tool in my pocket, and then I'm so beat, I lose my wallet, but I always have my Hive tool. I'll get home and go to plop on the couch.
Oh gosh.
And she said, "How did the couch get ripped?" And I looked over and I said, "Fritz, is his nails getting long again? We've got to cut that dog's nails. It's got to be the dog."
Darn dog.
But anyways, it'll tear a hole in your leather couch. It'll tear a hole in your leather seat. And you don't want to put a hole in your wife's leather seat. You don't want to do that. So anyways, you let me know what you want. If you want an old, rusty, propylized, well-worn and loved Hive tool, or if you want a brand new signed one, you pick. We'll take care of you. Hashtag Hive tool.
Does the used Hive tool, though, have remnants of leather sofa on it?
It does not. There is some fiber on there.
You could be getting rid of the evidence, so then there'd be no evidence.
Well, that might be mouse fuzz. I did catch a mouse in one of those. I'm not saying that the mouse died of acute stainless steel poisoning, but I'm not saying it didn't either. So anyways, you never know what you're going to get around here. Hashtag Hive tool. Brian, go ahead and spin that wheel.
Spin it. Let me share it. I got to share it.
Well, you got to share it first. All right.
Sharing means caring. We're drawn.
All right. The winner of the Hive Alive Hive tool is
Look at
Dwayne.
that.
How is that possible? This is going to seem rigged. Dwayne,
Hashtag.
come on down.
Hashtag winner.
He got it.
All right. Making my note here. Brian,
Did he won something on one of my giveaways one time? I think he won an INSTANTVAP.
let's spin again. Let's spin it again for another Hive Life. Can you do it twice? Make it nice.
There we go.
And the winner is Mr. Mark Zenner. Come on down. Mark and Dwayne, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com. Go to the About Us, hit the Contact tab, shoot us an email with your information, and let me know. Do you want a well-worn, well-loved, possibly mouse decapitating device? Or do you want a brand new, fresh, signed Hive Alive Hive tool? You pick. We'll get it out. All right. We have some questions. We're already getting long in the tooth tonight. So let's hear. Okay, question here from the Beehive Homestead. Is that
Jarrett?
I thought so. Yeah, he's down. Is it Virginia? Pennsylvania? Yeah, Virginia. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've met Jared. So howdy, Jared. So Jared has a question. So a question: what sucrose percentage doesn't ferment in your 3-to-1, or just in syrup to prevent fermentation? Well, 3-to-1 by itself, I personally have never had 3-to-1 ever ferment. Whether we mixed Hive Alive in it or not, I can tell you it's been a little while. But I think when we would mix down like a 2-to-1, like let's just say you're using straight sucrose, like you're just using regular granulated sugar. When we used to mix up a 1-to-1, when it's like 90 degrees out and the bees don't take it or the bucket is flipped upside down, I mean, you're talking 5 days. It's nasty. 1-to-1, 2-to-1 gets into the 7 to 10 day range if it's hot out. But when we mixed it with Hive Alive, it'll take 1-to-1 and extend that by maybe 2 or 3 times even as far as the length before it goes bad. Where this is important is not just for bee health to use something like the Hive Alive, not just to use it as a feed extender so it doesn't spoil, but if it is spoiled and you feed it to your bees, it can make them sick, number one. But the third like silver lining here is if you're using some Hive Alive in your regular sucrose syrup that you're mixing, no matter what feeding mechanism you're using, you're going to prevent it from going bad, which also prevents it from going black and getting funky nastiness on the inside of those things. You get some of that funk build up and it stains. It'll stain the plastic, and you're not ever cleaning that. No matter how much bleach you try to get into that plastic, you don't get all that staining and funkiness out. So I would think for a reasonably cheap insurance policy, adding some of that to not just extend the feed life, but to help prevent how funky your feeder actually gets. I think that would be an important thing to think about. So I don't think that answers the question necessarily, but I think if you get to 3-to-1, you can't mix a 3-to-1 and just sucrose by yourself. That's mechanically mixed. If you were to get to a 2-to-1, which you obviously can, maybe a 2.5-to-1, man, I think that lasts 10 to 14 days typically before it goes bad. But don't forget, there are no solid answers to this, because what is the catalyst? In my opinion, the catalyst is when you have bees who have yeasts on their proboscis from proteins, from floral sources, and that same proboscis is now inside of a bucket feeder or it's inside of a liquid feeder. You're now getting yeast introduced into that liquid, into that sucrose. You know, I never got good at drinking, so I quit. But there was a time in my life where I made a lot of hooch and other hooch related products. And it's very simple. It's sugar, water, and yeast makes hooch. And that's what you end up making in your bucket feeders or your frame feeders if you have those things coming together. So if you keep the sugar content up and hot and high, you're gonna help prevent that. So it's a great question. Okay, let's see here. Look at this. Brian, Castle Hives, member for 35 months.
Yeah.
Thank you for becoming a member 35 months ago. That's a big deal. You've got to be one of the originals. When we started that,
I think I'm the OG member.
You must be. Now that you've been a member for 35 months, but do you get push notifications for members only videos from Nature's Image when they come out?
Oh yeah, I watch them.
Okay, and you comment, and I thank you for that. And you'll be in more of them when you come down and visit. But if anyone's interested in becoming a member of this YouTube channel, we have unreleased content that goes just to the membership only side of the YouTube channel, including the learning yards. What it is we meet in the shop. We talk about exactly what's going on in the here and the now, answer everyone's questions. That inside shop talk, a live Q&A chat is what it is. Mm-hmm. We film that. That goes out to the YouTube channel membership only part. Then we take the camera out to the learning yard and we follow along every single colony. We go through them all, and that content gets kicked out to the membership only feed as well. So if you can't make it here to the learning yard, but you want to see what we're up to and be a part of that remotely, you can do it by supporting us. It's $4.99 a month, and you got access to all of those videos. Maybe a cameo with the one and only Castle Hives.
I'm telling you.
So Brian, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question here. I don't know if it's Daniel or Dan. I guess it'd be Daniel Innocenti. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. Question is, one of my hives just swarmed. What should I do with the parent hive at this point? Should I split and leave queen cells in each, or introduce mated queens in each, or just leave it? Let's go back to that one more time. One of my hives just swarmed. What should I do with the parent hive at this point? Should I split it and leave queen cells in it, or introduce mated queens in each, or just leave it? We need some more information here. So if one of your hives swarmed, you're asking what should you do with the parent hive at this point, meaning probably that original location that swarmed. The mother colony, the mother queen and half the crew, they are the ones who swarmed, leaving behind a a bunch of virgins who are duking it out, virgins that are getting ready to hatch, or they're already running around in there. They should already be on their next phase. But if you're talking about one of them swarmed, or it did swarm, and there's still a bunch of bees left, what do you do then? I mean, you could, and I have. I've broken it down all the way and made as many splits as I could on what was left using queen cells, or pinching all the queen cells, finding all the virgins, killing all those, and added mated queens. You could do that, but you got to know, depending on where you're at, you don't have a lot of time left. And so to go through the art of queen mating and coming back and laying eggs and rearing brood and having that brood mature and hatch, I mean, you're really out of time. You don't have a lot of time for that. If you're just bolstering up a colony, sure. But if that colony is, a 5-frame nuke and it needs to go through the rest of this year into the wintertime, you might be setting yourself up to be paying some tuition. So, Bruce, how do you best read into that question? One of my hives swarmed. What should I do with the parent hive at this point? Split it, leave the cells in it, or introduce a mated queen?
This time of the year, I don't fool with swarms a whole lot as far as trying to figure it out and trying to fix them. I just kind of personally, I just let them do. I figure they swarmed. I'll let them, give them a chance. If they don't make it, they don't make it. I guess you could. The other option, I don't think I would split them and try and make a split with queen cells right now. At least not here. That's just not what I would do. Not saying it wouldn't work. It's just not what I would do.
Yeah.
This swarm's just late in the year. It's just really risky. There's not, I'm not sure why they swarmed. There's could be various reasons for that. And what I do, well, honestly, I don't. I go to my bee yard where I got 40 colonies sitting there, and there's a swarm in a tree. I have no idea which hive that swarm came out of.
Right.
So I personally don't worry about it that much. I think I requeen a few hives every year from them swarming and actually end up with nice queens in them that never skip a beat. So this time of the year, if you know which colony it came from, Greg, do you think they would accept a mated queen if you broke all the queen cells down and put a mated queen in there, or
Yeah, they would.
That would improve your time for them to regain their strength. Because if the queen's got to emerge and then go out and get mated, assuming you don't have dragonfly issues and other issues like that, all those things. I was at my mom's farm the other day, and it was kind of when the sun was coming up, and the sun was coming right across from the east, right across the woods, and so you could really see every little bug out there flying around. You know how that is certain times of the day, and there were just dragonflies out there just hovering all over that field out there. So it's just there's so many risks this time of year. It's so late in the year. I would hesitate to try and get, depend on a queen getting mated from that. But I might just leave it alone personally. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, if I only had a couple of colonies, I might be more concerned about it. With the number of colonies I have, I just kind of let them figure it out. Personally, that's what I do.
Brian, what about you? If you had a hive that just swarmed, what would you do with this next generation left in that original location?
Yeah, for me, it just boils down to the time of the year. I've got a colony right now that is on the tail end of making a queen. They swarmed out. I didn't get inspections done, so they backfilled brood nest and ended up throwing out some cells, and mama swarmed out. And that was 2 weeks ago when I saw the capped cells 2.5 weeks ago. So at that point, it's early July, there's still time. Now, if you're getting into say mid to late August and you're finding cells, I would be more prone just to go and grab a mated queen, just because up here, if we're missing, you got to look at the time frame where you're not going to have eggs. So if you're going through that whole process, that time period, end of August, September-ish, is too critical to get your winter population up. So time of year is really what dictates what I do.
Yep.
I'm a little more conservative than the two of you, though. So.
Well, I think you guys, that was both great feedback. Daniel, I would say, depends on the size of what's left behind there. If you get back in there and she's laying eggs and you've got a nice, 5, 6, 7 frames of bees, man, let them cruise. If they don't quite seem to get it together, what we're going to be talking about as far as strategies go on summer to fall prep is at some point we're going to say no more effort is being put into this colony. It is not an asset, it's a liability. And at that point, those resources get combined and they go elsewhere. So you could just let them figure it out. If you're short on numbers and you really want to see this colony get built up and get built up faster, and they literally just swarmed today, you could consider finding all those virgins, smushing all of them, and then wait a day or so, introduce a mated queen. I think that would work. But I'm not a big fan of virgins at all, hands down, period. But this late in the game, I'm especially not fond of fooling around with virgins unless you're inseminating them, which maybe you're not going to probably be doing that. So great question. All right. Mr. Mike Davis, he says, I'm in Michigan running double deeps with supers and one with triple deeps with supers.
Wow.
Should I split or wait till spring? If I split, I'll need to buy queens. We've probably already answered Mike's question. He already probably is feeling like, okay, I think I've got a good idea there. Brian, what would you say? Double deeps with supers, triple deeps with supers. If you were Mike, would you split or would you wait until spring?
That triple deep, I mean, if there's an adequate, if you have enough brood in that joker, man, I'd be tempted just to grab that extra deep and just slap a queen in there. And I mean, it's a deep that's already filled with bees. So if you've got the equipment, slap a bottom board, throw that deep on it, get a queen in there.
Golden.
Got another, yeah. Throw
Bruce?
some food on them. They're good.
It would depend on the queen situation. I've run, assuming it's full of bees, it could probably make it through winter. You could split them in the spring, but and if the top 2 boxes are full of honey, then that might be down here. That would be too much honey. That you'd have issues with hive beetles and stuff. Because what's happening right now, I should have taken some pictures or I should have shot some video this weekend. I didn't do it, but when we pulled honey a month ago, the hives are completely covered in bees because we had so many bees in them. We condensed them down to 2 boxes. Most of them 1 or 2 boxes. Now there's not much bearding on them because they're starting to brood down a little bit. They're not just so packed out with population, and that's exactly what happens. But there's still a lot of bees inside the hives, and so obviously you could do that. You could do exactly that. If you have access to a queen, just make sure you got brood and resources to be able to do it. That wouldn't be an issue at all. But I think you would be okay just leaving it alone too. If it's packed full of bees, you can go through winter with a triple deep, but it is tempting to go ahead and make a split now, but just kind of whatever your access to queens is the key. Make sure you can get a good queen, I would say.
Mike, I would say what has worked for you in the past? What is the minimum configuration size that you need to get through a Michigan winter? If you're like in the Detroit land area versus clear up in the UP area, that's going to be, as wildly different. But here's what I would say. Like right now, I can tell you what I'm doing in my neck of the woods here, just south of you, is if I am in double deeps and I see you say supers plural, I mean, that is almost turnkey winter colonies times 2. If I had doubles with 2 supers on and the supers were full, I would actually pull the supers off and spin it, get it off. I would split the colonies. I'd put the empty supers back on, and I would put bucket feeders on both as a cheap insurance policy. And I would turn that one into 2. The colony that is in triple deeps, if these are truly full with supers, plural, same thing. I'd get the honey off while you can. I'd get them split out, and then I'd put bucket feeders on everybody and let that trickle through, keep them happy. Of course, the very first thing that I would make sure you do is line up queens first. If you, I don't know where you're at in Michigan, if you're close to here, we're not shipping queens, and actually we didn't try to ship any queens this year. All of our availability was for us, for nukes, and for local pickup. If you're in our neck of the woods, we've got queens. You could do that, or find somebody closer to you. Line up your queens first. If you can do that, I personally would have no problem busting everything down. So it's going in the wintertime as a very strong single with a full super above it. For me, that works great. You could do that depending on where you're at in Michigan and if that's worked for you in the past. That's a great question, and that is a we could spend all day in the details of that one, but that's a great question. Brian, we got a couple more questions here. Let's go ahead and let's do another giveaway. If you're just tuning in tonight, we're excited to share with you our new style of bucket feeders. You guys know us for bucket feeders and plugs. We've been doing that for years and years and years. We brought the bucket feeders to the online marketplace and also to the YouTube many, many years ago. And we have continued to improve what we do here. So we've got these bucket feeders here that we're really excited about. They're beautiful. They've got our logo front and back. They also have the Nature's Image bucket feeder right here. Fill, flip, feed. And then we've got a QR code here that you can scan, and it goes right to our website for tips and tricks that we will continually update with videos and just some more fun information regarding to bucket feeders. We've got these bucket feeders here tonight. Don't forget, we've got them special for our stream team audience. If you go to our website, discount code STREAMTEAM10, you get those rascals for $10. You can't beat it. The best bucket feeder on the market for $10. They're beautiful. They're functional. I really think it's something that a lot of beekeepers should consider having on hand, because there is not a single bucket feeder or any other feeding apparatus that is a silver bullet. We use frame feeders and bucket feeders, and they do different jobs at different times. And this is the time of year where bucket feeders really, really shine. So if you haven't already, would consider bucket feeders. And if you're on the fence, we got them on sale for $10 at nature'simagefarm.com by using discount code STREAMTEAM10. Brian, the hashtag for the giveaway for the bucket feeder is simply hashtag
bucket feeder.
Bucket feeder. We'll give folks about a minute or so to get their comments in before we draw a winner. And we'll play this short clip and be right back for that entry. Hi, I'm Greg Burns, founder of Nature's Image Farm and Hive wax-dipped equipment. Hey, as large family beekeepers, we saw a major need to do way better in protecting our investment with our beekeeping equipment from the elements for the long haul. So I coupled our practical beekeeping experience with our wood science background to create the Hive wax-dipped line of beekeeping equipment. Our unique wax dip process expels water from the wood, replaces and impregnates it with our proprietary blend of microcrystalline wax, offering superior weather protection without the mess or expense of paint. Our equipment is protected from the weather inside and out, preventing box rot, fungal growth, and decomposition. That's a huge savings in both time and money. No more reworking tired, worn out boxes year after year. Our wax-dipped equipment is proudly made in the USA. So protect your investment with Hive wax-dipped equipment. No paint, no rot, no hassle. Hive, built to endure. All right, Brian the Maestro, we've got the comments in there. Let's just keep things cruising. Brian, let her rip.
Let her rip. I want to win.
Daniel Innocenti, congratulations. You're the winner. 1 gallon, the Nature's Image Farm bucket feeder. We love them. I know you'll love them too. Go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com. Click on the Contact Us tab. Shoot us an email with your information, and we'll get your bucket feeder shipped out. Hey, if you didn't win tonight and you want to take advantage of one of the best feeding styles out there, using the best bucket feeder on the market, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com. Use discount code STREAMTEAM10, and you can pick those rascals up for $10. Can't beat it. All right, guys, let's get into these questions here. We've got an Ohioan here, Jason Fout. How important is it to know your area for feeding? Moved 10 of my hives about a half a mile away. What a difference. These girls are packing out frames with nectar. I mean, location. We moved our operation a half a mile, and we went from being plagued with hive beetles and needing murder sauce on everything to help kill hive beetles to hive beetles aren't even an issue. I've maybe seen 8 all year at this point. It's a time of year where we're going to start seeing more and more, but not a real. So location is huge for sure. Mr. Clay Bunner, we had a comment from him a little earlier, or a super chat. So thanks again, Clay, for that. But Clay here, just to follow up on an earlier conversation here tonight. Clay says, I used the Hive Alive liquid, strong microbials, and bee bites to clear up European foul brood in a different yard. 9 hives had it, and they were all nukes. They are all double deeps now. Yeah, we had seen the same thing. We had used Hive Alive liquid with strong microbials, the DFM, the powder, and we saw the same thing. And we had a horror story we've talked about in years past. So I think that's very solid approach for those things there too. Mr. Bruce Jenne. Bruce, thanks for the super chat. Hashtag Summer Bees, hashtag Stream Team, hashtag Be the Lighthouse. So Bruce, really appreciate your support. Mr. Mark Zenner sent us a $9.99 super chat. Mark Zenner, really appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. Mark writes here, love the Endura Hive boxes, the handwritten thank you notes, and the Nature's Image Farm stickers. Mark, you are welcome. We appreciate your support. We try to do something special for our folks when they make an order. Throw a little extra this or that in there too, just as a small way to say thanks. So, Mr. Mark Zenner, we certainly do appreciate you, sir. All right, we've got a question here from Mr. Craig Bennett. Do you just put the oxalic acid vapor in the back of the hive and leave the entrance open? I'm in Fairfield County, Ohio. Well, congrats, Craig. We've probably seen you at the Fairfield County Beekeepers Association meeting. Brian's even representing tonight, wearing that T-shirt. Look at that. Bruce, what do you think? Do you shoot OAV in the back, or do you go in the front entrance?
I used to shoot in the back when I used some other vaporizers with the original Larabis and the previously with the Jono Easy Vap, Easy Vape, whatever you want to call it. But now I just go right in the front on the pallets. It works on pallets or regular standard bottom boards. I just put it right in the front. I don't put a rag in there or stop the entrance up, even though it probably might work to do that better. But I just put it in there. It's so powerful, shoots so much in there that, shooting it back into the colony, back into the hive. And so I don't usually use anything to close up the entrance. I'm moving so fast. I don't, even though I guess maybe I should, but I hit them so hard with so much. I hit them with a real heavy dose, and I go 4 grams per box pretty much on the deeps, especially. So I feel like I get pretty good coverage doing it that way.
Nice. Brian, what about you? Do you shoot the OAV in the back or in the front?
Front. In the back of my head.
Oh no.
I could hear Trump voicing Bruce right there. Hit him just hard. the best
Get 'em.
treatment ever. No other treatment.
The big, beautiful bees.
Vaporizes the mites.
They're the best ever. Yeah, I would say I've always gone. There actually was a time where. Now, look, I'm going to say something. Just I don't mean anything about. If you do this, that's totally fine. I'm not saying there's better ways, right? I'm just saying I just don't do it that way anymore. But I used to do this knuckleheaded thing where I would drill into my boxes
I've done that, yeah.
for OAV, and I'm thinking, what in the world was I doing? And then I thought, well, let's not do that to the boxes. Let's just do that to the bottom boards. And then I was drilling into the bottom boards, an entry point for the vaporizer to go in. And then I'm thinking, why are we doing that? Well, the reason is those early bowl style vaporizers were not
Compatible.
they were not conducive from going into the front entrance. They just weren't. The way the stem was, you weren't going. There's nothing to hold it in there.
Yeah.
As they've improved, they're more ergonomical and they make more sense where they actually can lay on a landing board and go right in. So because of that, we don't drill into the bottom board. We actually go right into the front entrance, and the unit itself blocks the majority of the entrance. It's very little we have to block with anything other than maybe a quick blue shop towel. Most of the time, if you know, we've got built-in reducers on our 4-way pallets like Bruce does. You know, there's not much left, and we're putting so much in there. It's blasting that thing so hard. Like I'm not worried about it, you know. But if a guy was worried, you know, you could close that small gap with a blue shop towel, pull your vaporizer out, and then just move the toweling over to close it off for 5 minutes. We've got videos. You guys have seen us do that before. Works great. It's fast, easy, it's effective. That's way more effective than drilling your bottom boards with a golf and then have a golf tee there and then have to ream that hole out before you stick your vaporizer in. Because I can't tell you how many times I've nearly lost my religion by going to put my vaporizer in that hole, and our bees are just gummy, sticky bees, and it's full of propolis or nonsense, and you stick the nozzle in, and that nozzle gets compacted and plugged. Next thing you know, you're shooting a lid or a plunger out of your unit because all the back pressure. That's not what we do anymore. So we go to the front entrance, towel it off, and we send it.
It makes sense too, because if you're shooting it through the back of the bottom board, you're shooting it right out of the front of the hive.
Right out of the
and
front.
you have to block it pretty much. And so, and that, like you say, we used to kind of have to do that on pallets. You know, you could drill a hole kind of in the side of the bottom board, but the same thing. But it's just so easy. Just pop it in the front, man. It just, I don't take the time to block the entrances, whether it's on the pallets or on the regular standard bottom boards. I just let it go, and that may not be textbook, but it seems to work. So that's
it works. The results speak for themselves.
Too, it's got those 2 prongs that stick out. So
they kind of clamp it on there.
I just set mine. I position it right in the middle, and I mean, like Bruce said, I mean, there's a fog that comes up. So the only thing I will say, and this is a ask me how I know kind of thing, make sure if you're standing close, make sure you have proper
protective gear
on.
PPE, as they say, huh?
You don't want to inhale that cloud that comes into your face.
Come on, Bruce. Let's hear your best Bill Clinton on that one.
Yeah. Ask me how I know.
I did not inhale.
Well, I tell you what, if you did inhale, you'll know it.
You'll know.
That stuff is nasty.
It's not good.
Brutal.
Yeah. It's not good.
It'll burn you. It'll burn you up pretty bad. So
a great question, Craig, though, because you know, you see a lot of supply houses and their marketing spin up, and you see them put stuff out, and you ever wonder, like, are they actually beekeepers at all? When they're sending out advertisements for Formic Pro or all these other things, when most of the country is in like a 90 to 100 degree temperature range right now, and they're saying this is the best stuff to put on right now, you get it on. Like, no, it's not. If you put Formic on your colonies this week, you're going to run the bees out of there. You will murder the queens. You will grease the bees up, and they will run flat out of the box. Like, it is not the appropriate time for Formic in my neck of the woods, and it won't be for quite a while. Like, I know specifically the temperature range where Formic is acceptable, and now is not it. what is effective and does work really well this time of year when we're pulling the honey supers and it's hot, and if we're still making splits, is OAV. Oxalic acid vapor is beautiful, works fantastic. And the main thing I would say is, if you're floundering on what to do, which is the correct product for you, you got to look at a couple things. You got to look at, number one, your temperatures. You know, what is your next 3 days, or the 3-day window of when you first apply your treatment? What does that look like? All right. If you're going to be 85 degrees or hotter, man, I would caution you tremendously against Formic. If you're 86, 87 degrees or hotter, Apogard scares the socks off of me, because I've seen what it does even in the upper 80s. Not a fan of that either. Oxalic acid, you're not going to worry about the temperatures. It's not going to be as effective if you have high mite counts. So you might have to have some trade-offs here and say, okay, what do I do? If it's too hot for Formic, or you have supers on and you can't put Apogard on, what are some options? I think one of the best things you can do is use oxalic acid to keep your numbers static, using it with via vapor, right? You don't have to get in there and bust up boxes and put any kind of oxalic acid strips on. You can get in there and just hit them with vapor, keep those numbers pinned back until your temperatures cool off enough to put a heavier product on if you need it. But if you're getting in there and finding mite washes and you're 1% or 0.5%, I would just keep cruising with oxalic acid until we get to where it's cooler, right? If you're keeping the numbers pinned back with just oxalic acid, I think that's beautiful. And only have to go to Formic or Apogard if your numbers hit that threshold. My threshold's 2%. We hit 2%, we're taking action, because it's very hard to rebound from that if it gets out of control. So those are some things to consider. Temperature, do I have a honey super on, or will I? And then what are my mite counts? Those three things play into which product we use. We talked about that actually in the last Learning Yard video. So if you want to dig into that a little bit deeper and more of that conversation, you can sign up to be a member. It's $4.99 right here on this YouTube channel. Sign up as a YouTube member. You can cruise back and watch these Learning Yard videos where we talked all about that. But these are important details that there is no blanket answer. What Bruce is going to do in his neck of the woods is not going to be what Brian and I are going to be doing if we still have honey on, and if we're flirting with different temperatures. You know, we got to know those things, how and why these things work, before we kind of make that call. So Mr. Craig Bennett, fellow Ohio beekeeper, Fairfield County, thank you for your question. That's a good one.
Hey, Greg, what type of oxalic acid do you use? Whether it be, what type do you use?
I have used a lot of them. I have used all the ones off of Amazon, the ones that are in the white plastic cans. I've used the ones in the shiny Mylar. I've also used the one in a little plastic round can from Home Depot, just sold as wood bleach. And here's the problem with those. The Florida Labs, the tall white can and the short white plastic cans, those are not the same. Those have different binders in them, and you will find that out very quickly, that you get what you pay for. Just because something says it's 99.x% pure, that's great, but that doesn't tell you what the binder is and how it's going to react with heat. What I've noticed, my personal preference, is one that is actually EPA registered and approved. That's sort of handy. One that has the dosage actually approved. That's handy. And one that has the label approved to be used with honey supers. The only one that fits that bill that is made in the USA is Mike's Easy Ox. We sell it here in the shop. We sell it here in the shop because it's the best product. We focus here on products that we actually use, that we can speak to, and that is the best quality out there. And Mike's Easy Ox is the only one that fit all of our criteria. It's made in the USA. It's safe and effective for the bees. It's actually registered. The dosage is registered. It's safe to use with supers on. And if that wasn't enough, it's made by a USA military veteran. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So Mike's Easy Ox is the only oxalic acid that I'm using in my colonies. There's a huge difference. When you use the other ones, I have seen them firsthand gum up my vaporizers, plug up the nozzles, and create a sugary glycerin-based burnt mess all over the bottom bowls. You've got to be really careful with that. You might say, well, you know, I only have 1 or 2 hives. Does it really matter? You've got to make that call. What I can tell you is ain't nobody got time for nonsense with equipment failure because you use the cheap Amazon stuff and it's burning. That sugar is burning in the bottom of your bowl and plugging up your vaporizer. And now your vaporizer is down until you cool it off, clean it up, or figure out what's going on. Like, no one's got time for those kind of setbacks when you're treating a yard of, doesn't matter how many. So the Mike's Easy Ox is the cleanest burning and, in my opinion, the most effective. So that's why I sell it, because that's what I use.
Greg, do you know if they have any larger containers of Easy Ox on the horizon to be sold?
It's not for me to speak to that, but it is not just as easy as putting Easy Ox in a 1 gallon bucket with the handle, because they go by the book and because they are adhering to the letter of the law. They are bound to the label, and because of that, it gets into a different scenario. If you go into a 1 gallon pail or a 5 gallon pail, you can't just put oxalic acid in a pail and put their same labeling on it. All that has to go through an approval process. That is another reason why I think folks should support the Mike's Easy Ox brand, because they're the only ones that are doing it the right way. They're the only ones that are going by the book to provide a safe, clean, effective product. And to do that, it takes years and tens and over tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars per state every single year to update all that information. That's a big deal. In a time right now where made in America is so loosely used, is slanderized, there's nearly stolen valor with all of those kind of false patriotic products, where products are 2% made in the USA and 98% are sourced from communistic China or anywhere else, brought over here and a label slapped on it, sold to you from Timbuktu. It's important to me that we have folks that are going by the book, that are doing things the right way, that these products are actually made in the USA, like for real. That's important to me. And if we're going to make America great again, we've got to get back to American industry, where we're actually making things here in the United States, not just outsourcing them and slapping a sticker on it. That's what Mike's Easy Ox is doing. And that's what a lot of the products that we sell here in the shop are doing. We're about it. And we're trying to make made in America great again. So, Bruce, don't get me fired up. Bruce did it on purpose. Question from Philip Morris here. RTX Honeybees. What a great dude. He's always on the live chats. He's always doing something to help folks. It was great to see him last year. Anyways, Philip comments here. What is the height of the bucket? Will it fit in a deep box feeder sim? Absolutely. They fit just under that, no problem. They will fit inside of a deep. They will not fit in. So if you're going to put a bucket feeder, like let's say over an inner cover to feed through, you have to put a deep box over that. Or if Brian can pull it up, the easiest way to do that is with our premium wax dipped migratory lids. We designed these specifically for feeding buckets and for feeding pollen patties. There's a 1/2-inch patty rim all the way on the underneath side, but in the top of the lid, we actually have the lid cut out where the bucket feeder just goes right on top. That bucket feeder goes right on top, and you can feed the bees right through the lid. You're done. It's easy. There's no needing anything. So if you're considering bucket feeders, we've got these lids on our website too. They're the best wax dip migratory lid that's on the market. You can see right there, the pollen patty fits right on the frames, right underneath of that patty rim. You can use a bucket right on top to feed liquid. The bees reside in that space on the lid under the bucket, and they go through taking turns pulling feed from that plug. It's a fantastic way to do it. Also works for fondant. The Hive Alive fondant packs fit right on the frames, right underneath of that lid. So it's literally one lid does it all. You can feed.
The plugs also fit in the lid, don't they?
It's the same plug, right? And we sell those blanks. when you're not feeding, you just simply plug off that lid, like in the wintertime, or if you're not feeding at all, you can just use that plug that we've got. It comes with that lid as a lid closure. So you're keeping it sealed off. They're very handy. They're wax dipped. I think you'll like those too. So Philip, great question. That height will fit within a deep, no problem. Will not fit in a medium. Too tall for a medium. So thank you for that question there. Mr. Dwayne Bittinger, he's double dipped. He won one time and won another. So we've got nothing to do with that. It's the automated thing. It picks the name there. So Dwayne, I wouldn't say you're probably a gambling man, but you might go see about the Powerball tonight after it. You just never know what else you're gonna get into and win there. But hey, Dwayne, thanks for the $19.99 super chat. Thanks for supporting the stream team and what we do here in our mission field at Nature's Image Farm. Your donation tonight goes to that. Help us be a lighthouse to others. So thank you for that. His comment here, great chat tonight, everyone. Always lots of good information. So really appreciate that. Let's see. All right, Brian, we've got 2 more giveaways left. Let's go ahead and get one here. We're talking about feeding and treating tonight. We spent a lot of time throughout the year talking about both the ins and the outs. If you've got more specific questions, though, once this post, leave those questions that you would have in the comments, and I'll be sure to go back through and try to answer every single question that you would have in the comments of this video once it actually publishes to YouTube tonight. But feed's a very important thing. We've talked about 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, different supplements and things that you would put in it. Hive Alive has a handy little feed pouch that you can put right on top of your colonies. You put a couple slits on this backside. It lays flat right on top of your frames, and the bees go right on top, and they pull that syrup right from the top. You can put a medium shell over your colony and put this right on top of there like that. You can have a 2-inch shim that goes on top of your colony, and that can lay in. I'll tell you another little hack, another little secret. If you are still fooling with some small splits, or you're making some queens in Pro Nuke 5-frame nuke boxes, these work beautifully. These will sit right on top of those frames, right under that lid. And what I do is just with my box knife, just a couple little pricks. Right, I'm not slicing it up. Just make a few little weep holes in there. Lays right on top of the frames. The lid goes on top. Now those little splits or whatever you've got going in those Pro Nukes, they've got feed on demand. So tonight we're going to give away an entire case. There's 9 2-pound feed packets in a case. We're going to give that away tonight. Let's do hashtag Hive Alive Syrup as your comment to win that Hive Alive Syrup. And we'll send you the whole case. You can see it right back here. A whole case of the Hive Alive Easy Syrup, the Easy Feed. It's very handy. I don't think that's what you're going to use if you've got 20 or 30 colonies, but for spot feeding, for feeding nukes, I like it if I have to bank some queens for a couple days. I put that feed right next to those queens, and I make sure everything feeding those banked queens are juiced up and ready to go. Bruce, what were you going to say there?
Can I say back in the spring when I made splits, or actually last winter when I made those winter splits in February, I had it. Hive Alive sent me one of those boxes just to try, and so I thought, well, what the heck, we'll try it. And in one yard I used them, and in the other yard I didn't, and they are so handy. They are just perfect to use in a nuke. Like when you split out a nuke, you lay it on top, and man, I think they're just perfect to get one started and kind of jump started if you make new splits. So in nukes, like you said, they're not big. They're not big enough they wouldn't do a whole lot for a great big huge strong 10 frame or 20 frame colony, but just for starting like out a nuke, I think or like you said, maybe spot feeding a hive that's a little bit lacking in resources, that would be a good option. And they're very, very handy. It's a little pricey, but they are, just for convenience. Really, honestly, a lot of the Hive Alive stuff, those and also the Hive Alive Fauna is it really is effective, but it's also a convenience thing. It's so easy to use. And if you're trying to be efficient with your time and not have to mix up syrup and try to figure out how to produce it or mix up your own fondant or things like that, it's just they have it all ready for you. It's all mixed up and ready to go.
Yep. I like it. Hashtag Hive Alive Syrup. Get those comments in, and then we will pull a winner right after this. Hey, are you looking for honey processing equipment that's built to last a lifetime and actually built in the USA? Are you looking for the very best and wax-dipped equipment? Or maybe the beefiest wooden frames and foundation on the market? Check us out at naturesimagefarm.com and let's make Made in America great again. All right, we got a bunch of comments in on those, so really appreciate your guys' support. It means a lot. We've been doing this for over 3.5 years. As you guys know, all three of us are earning an income with beekeeping one way or the other at one scale or another. So we really appreciate all your guys' support. Make sure you check out Bruce's website, brucesbees.com, Castle Hives, castlehives.com. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah.
Yep, naturesimagefarm.com. Check out our web pages there. And if there's something you see there that would help you in your beekeeping, we would all love your support there. What you guys do on the comments, liking, subscribing, sharing videos out, dropping those comments, that is a great way to help support what we do as well. It really means a lot. That's why we have been here for 3.5 years, is because you guys continue to show up and you guys are making it happen. Paul Hale, that's a great one. Hale Hives, hashtag Maxent Uncapping Tank. Hey, let me tell you, the folks at Maxent, they're amazing. They've been doing this since 1970, and they've never cut corners. They've always used American components welded right there in Devens, Massachusetts. They're the real deal. They've been here since 1970 building this equipment. They're not a Johnny-come-lately. They're in this for the long haul, and their equipment is truly built to last a lifetime, and they've got the history and the track record to support that statement. Bruce has got a hashtag in there, bottling tank, 25 gallons. Man, you just can't beat it. Maxent is the very cream of the crop, the top-notch products. And you know what I really like about the Maxent line is all of a sudden here in the last 6 months or so, everyone has very quickly started to see where some of these phony products are coming in that are made in China, because all of a sudden the product prices have all shot up 15, 20, 30%, to where you look at all these other brands of extractors and bottling tanks and creamers versus the real deal stuff that's made in the USA. And like the prices are so ridiculously close. You're like, well, that's a no-brainer. So I got a lot more on my heart about that. I'm not going to go down that road tonight because it's fire and brimstone. It's a 4-hour sermon, and now's not the time. But just know I'm fired up about that. And all of you guys that are out there choosing made in the USA products, I want you to know that all of us here at Nature's Image Farm, we appreciate that. Whether it's your boots, your couch, your dishwasher, your laundry washer, or your honey processing equipment, if we're going to make Made in America great again, we've got to actually vote with our wallets and do it. So if you're doing that, we appreciate you. All right, Brian, let her rip. The winner of the Hive Alive syrup is
Castle Hives. Castle Hives.
Castle Hives. So here we go.
Castle Hives.
J.A. Williams, come on down. Does anybody know what that? Has anybody even? Is that? Do they still say that? Price is Right. That show's still on.
Yes.
Bruce is giving us the 2 fingers up, 4 fingers total.
Yeah.
Come on down. All right. If you don't know what that is, you're too young and we're too old. All right. J.A. Williams, go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com. Go to the contact us, shoot us an email with your info, and we're going to get that entire case, that one right there, that entire case of Hive Alive Easy Syrup. We're going to get that shipped out to you as a way to say thanks for being here tonight. See, Brian's even pointing. We're getting the points right. And Brian, you're on point. Bruce, you're almost on point. It's hard to figure out which way we go there. All right. A couple more things tonight, guys. What a I mean, it's flown by so quick.
It always does.
It always does. Real quick here, Highland Honey, great question. What keeps the rain from seeping in around the buckets and dripping down the hole? That's a great question. It never has happened ever.
Yeah.
For a couple reasons. Number one, the profile of those bucket lids, when they are seated on there and the weight of that, like rain is not penetrating under the bucket. It's not happening. Also, if you have sticky bees, meaning bees that make a lot of propolis, a lot of times they'll make a propolis ring like in 24 hours, right around that, and they'll keep that thing glued down. So I've never had that happen. The only issue that I've ever had with buckets is raccoons and possums. And for whatever reason, if you watch any videos with anybody using buckets, you will see that eventually they figure this out. If you just take one regular old run-of-the-mill 64-cent brick and put that on top of the bucket, that is enough for whatever reason. It's too much work for a critter and they leave them alone. Like I've never had buckets ripped off because of that. So we put the bricks on there. We keep the bricks on our colonies regardless, just for other quick marking reasons and things. It doesn't replace a queen right dial, but when we look down a whole row of 48 or 72, we can quickly see what's going on without actually getting close to the colonies. So for that, if I've got to mark up quickly, that's helpful. So I've already got the bricks out there. But even if you had the bricks just for the buckets, you can still utilize your queen right dial beautifully. And that brick would keep the bucket weighed down just enough. The other thing is, guys, let's think about this. All right. 1 gallon of feed, let's just say it's a 3-to-1. We're talking 11.55 pounds per gallon. So let's just say you didn't fill the bucket up all the way, and let's just tear out the weight of the bucket. I mean, you've got a 10-pound paperweight over top of that hole. When they're full, critters don't fool with them. They're too heavy. The wind doesn't fool with them. It's typically when we get a little lazy or we're not checking on the colonies frequently enough and we're putting a 1-gallon bucket on and we're coming back in 4 weeks to check on it, those buckets are going to be empty. So when the buckets are getting empty, they're getting light. Cheap insurance policy, put a 64-cent brick on top, you're ready to rock and roll. That's what I like to do.
One more thing on the water, Greg. I think even if a little water does leak in, it's not going to hurt anything. The bees will just slurp it up. They'll just utilize it.
That's true.
So, I mean, I know when I crack my, when I stagger my boxes for honey over the queen excluder like I do, many people will ask, what about water dripping down there? I'm like, look, it's not a problem. The bees will just utilize that water. They create a barrier there anyway. So, but I don't think a little bit of, a few drops of water leaking into a bee colony is not going to destroy the colony by any stretch. So,
right.
But I doubt if hardly any gets in there for all the reasons you mentioned already.
Yeah, well said. That's perfect. Mr. William Kurtz, Grumpy Bill's Bees. Man, I met Bill. Boy, I'm trying a few years ago. So Bill, I appreciate you being on here. Bill's got a question. Here in Chicago, we were running late for the flow. Would it still be able to put on more supers, or would it be better to pull what I have and feed for more comb? That's a tricky question. Bruce, what would you say to that? He's running late for the flow. Would he still be able to put on more supers if the flow is late up in Chicago, or would it be better to pull off what he has and feed?
I just wonder if he's saying, is he late in the flow? Like, is it almost over? Or is he saying the flow is going to be late? There's two different questions.
I think the flow's coming late.
If the flow is coming late, then why not capture it? But if the flow is like a week or two away from being over, then it's probably not going to do a whole lot. I've tried to capture the end of a flow before, and they don't do a whole lot with it. Sometimes they'll do a little bit with it, but those are two different questions in my mind, and it could be, I think, interpreted either way. So if you got a flow coming and it's just starting, then by all means put some boxes on there. But if it's late in the flow, I don't know that you have a lot of probably won't be worth doing anything. I'd just pull them and do your thing.
Yep. I like it.
And
Brian, anything else to add to that?
We better pull what I have and feed for more comb. I guess pull it and then feed them to be able to have them build more comb, I guess is what he's trying to say there. But
yep. I think you look in there, Brian's echoing what Bruce said based on the point there. I would say the same thing. Mr. Bill, I would look at the bees. Are the bees up in that super, or is it a ghost town? If it's a ghost town, that's going to tell you there's maybe not enough of a forest to be doing anything with it anyways. But if you crack the lid and they're covered with bees, they're just not yet doing something with it. I would either leave it on to see if that flow hits, but I would keep an eye on it and start to see if your bee numbers start to dwindle. If they start brooding back and they're not doing anything with it, they're not going to. They're just not going to have the numbers to do it. At that point, probably pull it. But if you need the super on the colony to finish out the size for winter, meaning like you got to have a story and a half, and it's that half that they're fooling with, I would put the feed on them right now and not look back and just not count on honey out of that colony this year. Lay the feed to them. Bucket feeders would be perfect for that. Let them build up on that. And then next year, get them into doubles. That's what I would probably do. But great question. Chicago isn't that far away. But in the grand scheme of things, we can go, like the comment earlier, we can go a half a mile from your original location and everything changes. A lot of great comments tonight. We're already in overtime. If you have any questions about feeding or treating in the summertime, leave them in the comments in this video once it publishes to YouTube tonight, and we'll be happy to get in and tackle those questions at that point. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and I hope if you're thinking about what do I need to do, what is the next move, let's think about where do you need to be in 2 months from right now. Let's roadmap that out. Where do you need to be all said and done in 2 months? Look at where you're at. Can you get there? Start mapping out what those steps would actually look like, and be honest with yourself. If you say, oh, that's cutting it, oh, that's too risky, or oof, if I did that, this colony becomes a liability, then let's pull back on our plans. Let's build some assets for the fall. So we've got strong, healthy, beautiful colonies, the best ever, big, beautiful bees for winter 2026, so that when these bees come out of the spring this year, right, we can all say, hey, we've rebounded, right? We don't have this bee apocalypse that we had last year. We're all looking good. We've built the bees back, and we're all doing better than we ever have. That's what I want to see, and that's what I hope folks are putting the time in right now to get there. All of our winners tonight, I'll be looking forward to those emails and to getting you your prizes out to you. Hey, if you're looking for the best bucket feeder on the market, check these out. We've got them special for our Stream Team viewers using discount code STREAMTEAM10. Go to nature'simagefarm.com, use STREAMTEAM10 at the checkout, and you can get these bucket feeders for $10. You can't beat it. They're super thick, super heavy duty. They're going to last you a while, and they're beautiful. They're just totally decked out with Nature's Image Farm. I think you guys will really love those. Bruce, what's going on with you this coming week?
Well, in the next couple of days, we're going to be moving my daughter to Arkansas. She's just graduated from Auburn, and she's moving up there for graduate school. So that's what we'll be doing the next few days. As far as the bees go, nothing is going to really happen in the next few days. I'm going to be gone out of town, and I'm taking a little break from them, but we'll be back in them soon, I'm sure. As far as videos go, I've got a little bit of footage of some things, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm kind of looking at ideas to maybe tweak the channel a little bit and maybe become more a little streamlined and do some things a little bit differently, maybe take a little different approach. So if you have any ideas, you can go to my channel and comment, or my social media, BMan Bruce on Instagram, or Bruce Jenne on Facebook, and any ideas you might have for YouTube type stuff. I've been doing the vlog form. I've really kind of done a little bit of everything, and I feel like it's kind of all over the place. So I'm trying to figure out how to streamline it a little bit and maybe bring things a little bit more into focus. And so that's kind of what's going on here. Really not right now. It's just so hot outside, and honestly, it's probably getting in the bees is not the best idea for the bees or the beekeeper. And so I've got the treatments in with the Roxanne. I've got the new queens introduced, where I was trying to help, with some genetics, maybe some queens hives that were failing, or genetics, spicy bees, trying to still work on that a little bit. Made a few splits as well with the 28 queens I got from Zach. And then that's really it. And then they're just kind of set up. The only thing that I need to probably try and figure out is maybe do a little bit of feeding here coming up. I did not feed them when I made the splits, but there seems to be some stuff kind of trickling in. They all have plenty of resources. The bees were not real robby. They weren't super agitated. They were more agitated when we put the treatments in than they were when I was making the splits, honestly. And so there's cotton all around some of those fields. There's cotton blooming, and maybe that's what's happening. Maybe they're getting some, and they seemed, not super busy like in a tallow or in a real big flow, but they were flying around doing some things. They weren't all just hanging out in the hives anymore. So, we'll just give them a few days and see what happens. I may looking to get some of those bucket feeders from you, Greg. To try and do a little bit of feeding, but I've tried the M-frame feeders, and they're okay. They're good. It's just the bucket feeders are just easy. I haven't used them much in the past. Mostly I've open fed is what I've done in the past. It's just so simple to do, but then you're feeding everything. You're feeding your bees, any wild bees out in nature, any yellow jackets, wasp, bumblebees, anything that wants to, they're coming and getting it. So you're not just feeding the bees you want to feed, you're feeding everything. When you open feed too, I think the stronger colonies dominate that feed more than, they just get more of it than the weaker colonies. And so the ones you really need to feed may not get as much food as they need, and the other ones don't need it as much. So trying to figure that out a little bit, but they're doing, my bees are looking really good, maybe better than they ever have this time of the year. I have not seen a lot of hive beetle pressure. I saw a little bit at Honey Hill Farm. I saw a lot at Honey Hill Farm actually a couple of weeks ago when we put the treatments in. It's just in the shade and sandy soil. So it's in a really ideal spot for hive beetles. There have always been hive beetles there, but hopefully some of the treatments I put in help with that. But I saw a few hive beetles the other day when I was doing some of the queen manipulation and introduction. And so, but nothing like the overall, they just look really pretty good right now, better than ever before. I think this year so far, I've been playing my cards right, really starting about this time last year, some of the strategies I started using. And hopefully I'm trying to kind of mimic that a little bit, with the exception of I changed out. Last year I used Apivar. This year I'm using Viroxan. Beyond that, I'm trying to kind of follow a similar pattern, except I learned from my mistakes with splits last year. I made the splits a little too weak, the few I made. So this year I made sure they were strong. So we'll see. But that's what I'm doing. Not a lot right now, but I'm sure in the next couple of weeks I'll be in them again doing some things.
Well, physically you might be on a little bit of a rest, but mentally I know you're still always going through the paces and evaluating and thinking and planning and prepping and all that. It never stops, does it?
Me thinking about bees and what to do next. I never think about that. Nobody on this chat ever thinks about that. We never obsess over that kind of thing. But you and I do have to talk about a few things. But yeah, I'm always, like I just mentioned, I'm trying to figure out how to streamline the channel and get things kind of jumpstart a little bit. I mean, the channel is getting some views. It's growing a little bit, but the view numbers have slowed down on the videos some. And I just think there's a couple things I need to do, some ideas without taking away from the channel too much. I want to just kind of, I think, more streamline things than anything else, and just do things where hopefully the value will be a little better. Yeah, Zach says, okay, all right, here it is. Zach, we're going to put this up. Zach says, got some more queens, Bruce. So if anyone needs queens right now, he's got some. I don't need any more right now, Zach. I don't have anything to do with them. I don't have anywhere to put them. And I just don't want to get out there, and I don't want to find places for 28 more queens. I'm sorry, but it was so hot. It was so hot this weekend out there. I was just, man, it was hot in that jacket and dripping. My eyes were stinging, but I made it through, and hopefully those queens, they'll do good. As long as the beekeeper didn't screw up, those queens will do fine, I'm sure.
Beekeeper never screws up. Never.
No,
never
well, I can tell you that's not true.
Tuition.
Greg, I've done a pretty good job of
we all have
of murdering some queens in the summertime with between Michael Palmer's and the ones you sent me that I got from you that year. 2 years ago, I learned a lot that year, but I completely just destroyed a lot of really nice queens because I did things the wrong way. And so, I learned from that, and last year I had better success.
Yeah.
But this year, hopefully it'll be even better because
it'll be even better. Well, I'm looking forward to a little top secret project, Bruce. We'll talk more about that later, but it's always good to be able to learn how late you can do some of these things and what it takes to make those things successful. But you got a lot going on there, Bruce. Brian, what does the next week look like at Castle Hives, Northeast Ohio?
It's busy because set aside from the bees, my brother down in Florida, my half brother, he just flew into town yesterday, so I'm gonna drive up part of the day on Friday, visit. Sunday there's family cookout. Saturday is get a U-Haul truck and help my son move. My son and daughter-in-law got a house. They got the keys today.
Wow.
So I'll be going over tomorrow with carpet cleaner machine, and we're going to go through and clean up, do a deep clean on stuff and just get it all set up and ready for, furniture and all that stuff. And so, outside of the bees, it's just, it's very busy. But with the bees themselves, tomorrow will be 4th OAV. Monday will be 5th OAV. And then they are going to sit until probably Saturday or Sunday. And then I'm going to do a deep dive on all of them. I'll probably wash half of them just to see, I don't feel like I've got to go through all of them. I'll probably wash every other just to kind of get a feel for, okay, where are my treatments at? Do I need to do anything else? And then check weight, check population size, everything like that. At that point, if I have to maybe pull a frame out of one, equalize into another, I'm going to do all of that. So I think that's looking at, what would it be, the weekend of August 2nd, I think it is. So, and I think that's at about a good time, because then I still, for some odd reason, I still have a positive feeling about their goldenrod and this fall flow. For some odd reason. So I want to get everything kind of situated so that maybe I can sneak a bucket or two of fall flow out.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's just the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very busy. And then August 8th through the 15th, I'm going to be out of commission. So busy. Next, I guess 3 weeks are just really, really busy for me. So
yeah, that's where the summer's shaping up. It seems like, Brian, here we've got a bunch of speaking engagements coming on for now, all the way through February at some conventions and expos and things like that are starting to really stack up. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be at the Guernsey Noble Bee Club, meeting with those folks. That's going to be an awesome opportunity if you're in that club, because I'm actually going to take folks to our yard that we've got there, and we're going to hands-on apply some treatments and actually see that hands-on, and then we'll meet in the Sportsman's Club and actually go through the meeting and actually talk about those things. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got the West Virginia Bee Fair that was just announced that will be in September as a vendor. That's going to be a lot of fun. The folks in West Virginia are probably some of my favorite folks in the entire country to visit with. They're the salt of the earth folks. And so there's the West Virginia Bee Fair happening in September, right around September 12th, I think, or so. That is going to be awesome. We've got another event in Ohio that we'll post that we're speaking at. I think I'm speaking there. Also, Fred Dunn's speaking at that event. That's going to be a lot of fun too. I would just be rambling here trying to go through my calendar to get all those names out. But the reason that one really sticks out is it's the MCBA conference. And it's the day before, like it's been many, many years, but we've are actually set up for a little family vacation. And this thing is the day before we're supposed to leave. So you can imagine how thrilled the boss is about that one, but she's a good sport. So we've got that going on. We've got some conferences all across the country that have reached out to ask us to come speak at their conventions, at their clubs. So that's always a lot of fun. I enjoy that part the most, I think, is visiting with folks and kind of sharing our experience. So if you are listening to this and you are in a bee club and you're looking for a presenter or a speaker, have them reach out to us. But also, we're putting together some club-specific bulk buys on feed and supplements. So if you have a club, specifically, if you're in Ohio or a surrounding state and you've got a bee club, have them reach out to us if they're interested in bulk buys, things like Pro Sweet, Hive Alive pollen patties, Hive Alive fondant, you name it, bucket feeders, equipment. We're trying to really reach out to those clubs and do our best to help support their members. So if you are in a bee club, have them reach out to us and have them ask us about club bulk buys, and we'd be happy to talk to them about that. And other than that, we're just wrapping up, getting the honey pulled, getting the last of the splits done. We have a top secret queen project that we're working on. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that a little bit later. That's coming down the pike. But it's the time of the year where you can't get comfortable. If you get comfortable, you get complacent, and complacency kills. And that's where we're at with our bees right now. We're trying to just stay on point, keep things always moving forward. We've worked hard all year. Let's not give up now. Let's finish strong. Let's get these bees to be as healthy as they possibly can. And we'll see what the weather does. You know, we'll take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and we'll kind of go from there. Next week, we're going to be on Castle Hives YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Wednesday next week. The Castle Hives YouTube channel. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. I want to thank you guys so much for spending your time with us tonight, for your support. Don't forget, go to naturesimagefarm.com. Use discount code STREAMTEAM10. Get these bucket feeders for $10. You'll love them, and your bees will too. Until next time, we want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey, are you looking for honey processing equipment that's built to last a lifetime and actually built in the USA? Are you looking for the very best and wax-dipped equipment? Or maybe the beefiest wooden frames and foundation on the market? Check us out at naturesimagefarm.com and let's make Made in America great again.